All right, let's dive into this because what I just witnessed might honestly be one of the most outlandish takes I've ever seen in this era of nonstop sports opinions flying around online. And no, I'm not talking about some random fan in the comments section. This came from a former NFL quarterback turned analyst who decided to drop a take about the Chicago Bears that makes absolutely zero sense when you break it down. I'm talking about the idea that the Bears should consider cutting Cole Kmet. Yes, cutting him. Straight up releasing him. Let that sink in for a second. Now, before we unpack how wild that is, let's take a step back. Cole Kmet has kind of become the forgotten man in Chicago, hasn't he? You've got all these shiny new weapons. DJ, Moore making plays, Romeo Dunze coming in, the hype around Caleb Williams, not to mention the rookie tight end Colston Loveland, who people are already labeling the next big thing. So yeah, Kmet's name has kind of faded into the background of the conversation. But that doesn't mean he's not valuable. In fact, it's pretty ridiculous that we even need to say this, but here we are. So the guy behind this take is Kurt Benkert, a former Packers quarterback who now creates content and occasionally drops NFL opinions for outlets like Bleacher Report. He recently made a list of post-June 1st cut or trade candidates in the league, a decent idea for off-season content, but then he threw Cole Kmet on the list, and not as a trade chip, no, but as someone who could be outright cut. He tried to justify it by saying the Bears could save cap space, maybe get a little value back, and that Loveland was now the tight end of the future. But the way he said it, full of maybes and coulds, made it sound like even he wasn't sold on his own reasoning. Let me stop right there. We're talking about Cole Kmet here, a player who, while not Travis Kelce, is one of the more reliable tight ends in the NFL. A player who's been consistent, productive, and a leader for a team that has desperately needed stability. And we're acting like he's just dead weight on the roster. Come on. Let's talk numbers since Benkert tried and completely butchered that part. He claimed the Bears could save around $12 million by cutting Kmet after June 1st. That would be a massive number, and if it were true, sure, you might at least raise an eyebrow. But here's the thing, it's not true. Not even close. The actual number, the Bears would save about $100,000. That's it, 100 grand. That's not even backup special teams player money in today's NFL. You're going to cut your starting tight end, your most experienced guy at the position, for the equivalent of a couple PR intern salaries. That's laughable, right? Now, Cole Kmet is carrying a cap hit of around $11.6 million. Sounds like a big number until you realize that doesn't even crack the top 10 in cap hits for tight ends across the league. For a guy who, even in a down year, put up nearly 50 receptions, almost 500 yards, and 4 touchdowns in a completely dysfunctional offense, that's more than reasonable. And if you average out his last few seasons, you're looking at a player giving you over 600 yards and around 5 touchdowns per year. That's consistency. That's reliability. That's not someone you just release into the wind. And let's also talk about what Kmet brings that goes beyond numbers. He's a steady presence in the locker room. He knows the system. He's a security blanket for young quarterbacks. And oh, by the way, your team just drafted a rookie quarterback who's trying to find his footing in the NFL. You don't think it might be smart to have a veteran tight end who can help stabilize things over the middle of the field? Especially when you're trying to help your new franchise QB gain confidence and rhythm? On top of all that, let's not forget who's behind the offensive scheme now. Ben Johnson, the offensive mastermind who helped turn Detroit's offense into a nightmare for defenses. You know what Johnson loves? Running 12 personnel, formations with 2 tight ends on the field. Detroit used that look almost more than anyone last year. Somewhere around 36 or 37% of the time. It was a massive part of their identity. So if you're trying to replicate that kind of success in Chicago, why in the world would you cut the only proven tight end on your roster? Now, I'm not denying that Colston Loveland has potential. The guy could very well be a star in this league. He's got the athleticism, the frame, the tools, but can we slow down for a second? He hasn't even practiced yet. He's still rehabbing a shoulder injury. We haven't seen him in pads, haven't seen him run a route in a real NFL practice. And tight end is one of the most complex positions to learn as a rookie. You're learning blocking assignments, route concepts, reading coverages. It's like learning 2 positions at once. So to think Loveland is just going to come in and instantly replace Kmet is not just optimistic, it's flat out irresponsible. And who's behind them on the depth chart? Durham Smythe? Okay, decent option as a third tight end. Steven Carlson? Practice squad caliber. Joe Wilson. Jordan Murray. Come on. If Kmet's not there, now you're forcing one of those guys to become your number 2, or you're rushing Loveland into a huge role he may not be ready for. That's not how you build a functional tight end room. That's how you set your offense up for failure. And here's the kicker. If, and this is a big if, the Bears ever did decide they wanted to move on from Kmet, you don't cut him. You trade him. There are teams that would absolutely want a young, proven, well-rounded starting tight end. Teams like the Steelers are always looking to solidify that position. You don't think they'd be interested? Of course they would. So this whole idea that the only options are to cut him or keep him is just false. Kmet is 26 years old. Just turned 26 in March. He's still got years ahead of him in this league. And while he might not have that elite top tier ceiling, there's still room for growth. And even if he's plateaued, what he gives you now is still better than most. He blocks, he catches, he's dependable. He may never be the flashiest guy on the field, but he's exactly the kind of player you want in a system built on efficiency and balance. Now let's talk about what we've seen recently, because there were some interesting notes from OTAs. Last week, he apparently got chewed out a bit by Ben Johnson for lining up wrong in a certain formation. And honestly, I love that. That shows Johnson is not letting anyone off the hook. He wants things done right, especially with veterans who are supposed to set the tone. And the good news? Kmet responded. This week, he was featured heavily in the open practice. The Bears were moving him around, sending him in motion, trying different alignments. That's the kind of versatility this offense needs. And that's the kind of role Kmet can absolutely thrive in if used correctly. We even saw a clip on the Bears' official social media of Caleb Williams zipping a beautiful seam pass right to Kmet. That's exactly what you want to see. A young quarterback starting to build chemistry with a reliable target. That's how you get the ball moving. That's how you build confidence. Clay Harbor even tweeted about how comfortable Kmet looked, how well he was moving, and how his versatility could open things up once Loveland is healthy and part of the rotation. That's not the profile of someone on the verge of being cut. That's the profile of someone ready to make a serious impact. And look, I get it. The NFL is a business. No one is immune to being replaced. If Loveland really is that good and takes off, then yeah, maybe in a year or two, Kmet's future with the team is up in the air. That's how this works. But that's next year's problem. Right now, today, this team needs Cole Kmet. He's not just a backup plan or a placeholder. He's part of the solution. And pretending otherwise is just misreading the situation. So yeah, I think it's fair to say this was one of the worst takes I've seen in a while. And again, no hate to Benkert. Everyone has bad takes now and then. I've had mine. But when you get the facts wrong and start projecting roster cuts that would actually hurt the team both on the field and in the locker room, you got to take a step back and reassess. Cole Kmet might not be the headline grabber in this offense, but he's a key piece. And if anything, he's going to be even more important this year with all the pressure on Caleb Williams to develop quickly. You need guys who know what they're doing. Guys you can count on. Cole Kmet is that guy. Absolutely. Let's continue this deep dive because there's so much more to unpack when it comes to Cole Kmet's role and value in the Bears offense, especially as the team moves forward with a new coaching staff and a fresh quarterback. The narrative that Kmet is somehow expendable is not just wrong, it's dangerously short-sighted. When you really consider the nuances of his game, his fit in the offense, and the realities of NFL roster construction, it becomes crystal clear that cutting him would be a colossal mistake. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. A wave of speculation has hit the Windy City following a terse and revealing comment from Bears head coach Ben Johnson. When asked about defensive lineman Grady Jarrett's role in the team moving forward, Johnson reportedly replied, "He doesn't play for me anymore." Though the remark was brief, it has ignited a frenzy of rumors regarding Jarrett's future with the franchise. Sources close to the situation suggest tensions may have been building between Johnson and Jarrett for weeks, possibly related to disagreements over scheme fit or playing time. Jarrett, a seasoned veteran known for his disruptive presence on the defensive front, has struggled to find his footing in Chicago's new defensive system under Johnson, who was brought in this offseason with the mandate of reshaping the team's identity. While no official statement has been released by the Bears organization or Jarrett's camp, insiders indicate that the relationship between player and coach may have reached a breaking point. Johnson's comment, though made off the cuff, is being interpreted by many as a sign that the team is prepared to move on from the former Pro Bowler, either through a trade release or possibly even retirement discussions. Adding fuel to the fire, Jarrett was notably absent from the team's recent voluntary workouts, sparking further questions about his commitment to the Bears and his alignment with the coaching staff's vision. Some league analysts argue that this could be a simple case of miscommunication or even a motivational tactic by Johnson, known for his no-nonsense approach. Others, however, see it as the beginning of the end for Jarrett's tenure in Chicago. The Bears do part ways with Jarrett. It would mark a significant shift in their defensive strategy, potentially opening the door for younger players to step up and fill the void. For now, fans and pundits alike are left to speculate on what exactly Johnson meant, and what it could mean for both Jarrett and the Bears moving forward. As with all rumors in the NFL, only time will reveal the truth. But one thing is clear. All eyes are now on Halas Hall. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.